In Florida, if you're injured in an accident as a passenger in a Lyft or in an Uber, there are certain laws that you need to know, and you need to have a lawyer that's handled these types of cases before. There are protections that are afforded to you as a passenger in a Lyft. First of all, no matter whose fault the accident was, if you're injured in an accident as a passenger in a Lyft in Florida, you have to use your own personal auto insurance to cover your own medical bills. You wonder, why is that the case? If I'm in a Lyft or an Uber, why would my own auto insurance pay my bills if I wasn't even in my car? Well, that's just the way they wrote the laws in Florida. If you don't own a car or live in a house with a relative that owns a car, then the Lyft driver who owns, or the owner of the vehicle that you were in, would be responsible for the first $10,000 of your medical bills under their no-fault coverage. But then that gets complicated, because if they're using their vehicle as a Lyft or an Uber, they exclude PIP coverage. So then where do you go for your medical payments? You go to Lyft and you go to Uber if it was the driver's fault, because they will automatically insure that driver for liability, usually up to $1 million if it was that driver's fault. If it was someone else's fault, they've just changed all the rules. They used to afford $1 million of coverage for you if you were in an Uber or a Lyft that got hit by somebody that was their fault, but maybe they didn't have coverage. They don't cover that like they used to. It used to be $1 million, and now Lyft is down to $30,000 in coverage for uninsured motorist claims, and Uber's down to $10,000. So they're only providing what they're required to provide at a minimum by law, and they're going quickly to where taxi cabs used to be, where they didn't afford that much coverage at all. So it gets complicated. And then, of course, if you have your own insurance and your own uninsured motorist coverage, who pays, who's primary, who's secondary, who's third, whose bills get paid first by the auto insurance, all of that needs to be sorted out by a lawyer that handles these types of cases. And again, the amount of coverage you have in a Lyft situation depends upon whether if you're the Lyft driver or the Uber driver, or are you under computer contract where you are open for service with Lyft or with Uber. And let's say you have your Lyft and your Uber open at the same time, then who's responsible for paying the bills if there's an accident? So for all of these reasons, as a passenger or as a driver, if it's an accident involving Lyft or Uber, the law is constantly evolving, and call me. I'm keeping up on the current state of the law, and I'll be able to give you current advice on what to do. Next week could be different than what they're doing this week. So if you see some value here, click the like button, subscribe to my channel, and then most importantly, if you do have an accident involving an Uber, call me at 877-GLUCK-LAW. Thank you.